Hey, what's up guys, it's WiseGuyVito here, and today I want to do another tier list video for you guys, and this one will be on primary weapons against the Illuminate faction. As always, like, share, and subscribe, and let's get straight into the tier list. So before we start, let's go over the tiers real quick. S tier would be, in my opinion, kind of like the meta picks for level 10 difficulty. A tier is above average. You can still use these at level 10. It's just there might be one glaring issue with them. I'm going to kind of go over maybe what that one glaring issue is. B tier is average. It's neither good nor bad, just kind of just meh or just mid. C tier is below average. Would like to see some buffs so that maybe this can even be a weapon that could be A or S tier against the Illuminates. And then D tier is the dookie tier. This is the bad tier. This is we need reworks or just major buffs to this weapon in order for it to be good at, or be good just against like the Illuminate faction. So without further ado, let's get straight into the tier list. So the Adjuticator, medium armor pen, does 95 damage. It did get a buff in damage, just 5 though. It's okay. I mean, actually, I think it's really good against the Illuminate, but I don't think that it is S tier. But I do think it is the better AR pick against the Illuminate. So I'm gonna put it in A tier. It's gonna be a high A for me though, because I really do like this weapon a lot. I just think it needs more ammo in reserve, and I think that it would be in a very, very good spot, even probably up here in the S tier category. And more ammo, like I said before, just more reserve ammo, and I think it'd be an S tier pick. The Blitzer, I do think that it is S tier. Definitely, the Blitzer is definitely like one of the best weapons in the game by far. It may not be necessarily good against the Illuminate, but against the against the automatons, but against the Illuminate and Terminates, this weapon is phenomenal. It stuns. It's great against Overseers because, let's just face it, like voteless are very easy to kill. You can use any of these weapons to kill voteless mobs of voteless even, and it'd be fine. But against like the Overseers, those are the real enemies right now against the Illuminate, or like for the Illuminate side right now, because we don't have all the enemies for Illuminate, and hopefully Arrowhead changes that. But currently, how it stands, the Blitzer is very good against the Illuminate. It's very good against just stunning the Overseers, even the flying ones. It does have short range, but that's fine. You know, as long as you can get in and you actually do like decent damage, and you can mob control with this weapon as well. So that's why I'm putting it into the S tier category. The Breaker, I do think this is a good weapon as well. I think that it's a solid A. I don't think it's high or low on the A tier scaling, but I do think that it is a very solid pick currently against the Illuminate. The only thing I wish it would have, I'm not gonna lie, I actually did like it whenever it had the bug where it had more ammo than anticipated. I think that that's what this gun needs. I think that it needs more ammo in its reserves, and I think that it would be at a very good spot in my opinion. Just overall, you know, I kind of want to make the Breaker king again. But currently, right now, I do think that it's a solid pick against the Illuminate. It's really good against Overseers, just beaming them down, because again, like with their type of armor, you want to break up those armor pieces as much as possible, and then beam down the pieces that you break off very, very quickly. So I'm going to put the Breaker in the A tier category. Constitution, I'm not gonna lie, this is kind of a D tier pick for me. It is the Chad weapon, and if you want to give yourself a challenge and be a Chad while doing it, you can definitely do that. This gun needs a stripper clip in my opinion. I can definitely see this weapon getting armor pen 4 as well, maybe even buff damage just slightly, but for the most part, I think this weapon is not too great right now. Just in the game, but it's not supposed to be a great weapon. I know it's not, you know, a good excuse for it not being good, because I do think that every weapon in this game should be at some level of viability in the game, no matter what faction that you play against. Just, you know, it either does some niche or does something very, very well. The Constitution, you know, it has solid damage, sure, and does have medium armor pen, but like I said before, it needs stripper clips and it needs armor pen 4 in order for it to be even competitive right now. And this is against all factions. But, you know, against the Illuminate, though, you know, it does okay against Overseers. But, and it, of course, like, you know, you can kill voteless with this, right? Like no problem. It has, but other than that, I really want to use this. The bayonet on it again, like if you're running peak physique with this, sure, why not? But other than that though, I'm gonna put this in D tier. Definitely some major buffs to it. Like I said before, Armor Pen 4 and then triple clips would be fine with it. Cookout, I do think this is S tier. Just great at just slaying out, right? Mobs of voteless, overseers, anything, drones. It just does very, very good. Flying ones, you can spray into an entire crowd of voteless and overseers and kill them reasonably quickly. Has great animal economy. Just a phenomenal weapon. The Cookout is good against all factions, in my opinion. So I want to put this into the S tier category. Diligence, I do think this is also really good as well. You can beam down the voteless heads. Just an overall, just a fine weapon. Just overall. Snipe away, as medium armor pen. It's just overall just a solid DMR in the game currently. So I don't think that it's the best against the Illuminate, the best DMR against the Illuminate, and we'll get to what I think is the best DMR currently against the Illuminate. But I do think that it's a solid pick. And if you wanted to be more play like a sniper, then definitely take it on level 10 difficulty. The Defender, I just think SMGs right now are kind of like in a weird state. The Defender, I kind of bounce around between either low A or high B. It got a damage buff. It's fine. It just feels okay. Handles voteless. Of course, all these weapons, like I said before, handle voteless. So like there's no worry about that. Against overseers, though, flying ones are kind of annoying to hit with this thing at times. Against the standing ones, it does fine against. But for the most part, it just kind of feels mid to me, in my opinion. So I'm going to put it into the B tier category. The Diligence, so this is like just a regular one. It got a buff to its ammo. It has 5 more rounds, I believe, to it. So it went from 20 to 25. I think this gun's actually decent against the Illuminate right now. Again, I'd rather have something like the lever action or the counter sniper Diligence, in my opinion. I just think that the Diligence needs to have more damage. Just way more damage. It being light armor pen, that's already a knock on it already. And with this low damage, even though it has a bigger mag to it, I still want it to do just like a little bit more damage than what it's currently doing, and then be a solid either high A into S tier against the Illuminate and against all factions in the game. So I'm gonna put the Diligence, basically like within like a low A, maybe even just a solid A pick. The Dominator, pretty good right now. It is kind of sluggish to use, but you can still use it pretty well against overseers. This is more just an overseer killing machine for the most part, just has high damage to them. So, and again, the overseers is what you're going to be fighting the most. Like, those are the real enemies on the Illuminate faction. So, Dominator is fantastic to use. Double-edged Sickle. It's okay. So if you use fire resistant armor, it's S tier. Okay. If you don't use it, it's like maybe low B and C. We're just going to assume that you're wearing fire resistant armor. If you're wearing fire resistant armor, it's an S tier pick in my opinion. Okay, it does great against mowing down voteless. It does great at handling overseers, even the flying ones. It can handle walkers. Once you get up to that AP4 region, right, or that AP4. I guess capabilities of the weapon, which is when you're caught on fire at that point. It's just a solid weapon overall. If you're wearing fire resistant armor, if you're wearing any other armor set in the game, I think you basically just suck for the most part. It doesn't feel really good to use, but you have to be wearing fire resistant armor. So if you're wearing fire resistant armor, I'm going to put it in S tier for the time being. I do think that I'm gonna say that it's a nerf because I really do think it was a nerf. I think the nerf was unwarranted for this weapon to begin with, but it giving, because now they pigeonhole you into like one armor set in order to use this weapon, right? But you can use this with medic armor if you really want to just brute force just heal. Even then, I don't think it's worth it. Just use fire resistant armor. But overall, if you're using fire resistant armor, it's definitely an S tier pick, but they need to revert the change, in my opinion. The Eruptor feels terrible. Southwest got nerfed on this. It was a bug, okay? Like, I'm going to say nerfed, but it was a bug. I want old Eruptor to go back to the way, or like, I want the OG Eruptor. That's what I want, right? The best version of the Eruptor was in the previous patch, right? The Borderline Justice, right? When Southwest was a thing, you can one-shot Charger butts with this. You could, one-shot Hulks in the face with this, or two-shot Hulks. You can one-shot Devastators. Did well against Walkers, did well against Overseers. This gun was amazing, okay? It was very, very good, right? But then they nerfed the Southwest and changed how shrapnel works to where it was supposed to be quote-unquote intended, right? And it does not feel good anymore. It just doesn't. Like, I think that if they wanted this weapon to be good, right? And Arrowhead said this is already on the radar again. If they wanted this weapon to go back to the way that for a good version of this gun, right? OG Eruptor, they need to go back to OG Eruptor. If this was OG Eruptor, it'd be a solid A. But currently, right now, in its current state, I cannot suggest using this weapon. And this is just more out of spite because they keep on changing the weapon whenever it's not broken. Okay? Even when it was at its peak in Borderline Justice, before they changed how shrapnel works as it's quote-unquote supposed to be intended, right? The gun was not overpowered, in my opinion. What it did is that it opened up a lot of loadouts, right? Because now you have an armor pin 4 shrapnel weapon that you had to like watch where you placed your shots at. You couldn't just fire into a Charger, fire into a Hulk, or fire into a Walker and just kill shit. That just not how it worked. You had to aim for a Charger butt. You had to either aim for the back of a Hulk or aim for the center or like the eye of a Hulk. And for like the Walkers, you have to aim for joints. You have to again, it's just shot placement. That's why I didn't think it needed the nerf or the change to the bug, right? Because again, it just required a skilled hand, right? And that's what I liked about it, right? You got the diversity in loadouts if you had a skilled hand, and I think that's what they're still trying to figure out with this gun still. I don't know why, but a good compromise, in my opinion, is just to go back to OG Eruptor with the airburst orbital shrapnel that it had with the gun. That gun felt amazing. I think they should go back to basically OG Eruptor. But, in its current state, I cannot recommend it. And this is against all factions. I just cannot recommend it right now. It just feels terrible right now. So I'm putting it into the D2 category. They need to make reworks to it again. I'm calling for a rework, which is go back to original Eruptor. You can watch Thick Fillet's video. He does a very good job at it. I'll even put it down in the description. But I just feel like this weapon is terrible right now. They need to revert it back to OG. Explosive Crossbow, probably like top 5 primaries the entire game right now. Versatile, one hand, has great ammo economy, explosive arrows, can handle mobs and can handle elite style enemies. So like Overseers and Volus, it handles like no problem. It's just overall just a phenomenal primary. It's just a solid primary. So I want to put it into the S tier. The Halt, one of the most underrated shotguns in the entire game. This shotgun got so much hate for no reason, in my opinion. No reason. These stun rounds stun things for 5 seconds. So if you're having troubles shooting or landing shots on the flying Overseers, you just switch to stun the Overseer, switch back to the flechette rounds, which is medium armor penetration and does good damage, and then you just beam down the Overseer in the air. It's phenomenal. It's great. Definitely use this on level 10 difficulty against the Illuminate. It's a phenomenal weapon. The Incendiary Breaker. Overall, I want to put it in low S. It just needs ammo. That's it. And then it'd be fine. If you run an ammo resupply pack, it's like it's like Super Omega S, right? But, it handles voteless, it handles overseers very well, drones, like it just mobs out everything, including elite style enemies. So I'm gonna put it into the S tier category. Lever action is the best DMR in the entire game right now, in my opinion. That's just me. It does very, very well for durable damage and just raw damage. It just does phenomenal work. It is probably it is probably the best Illuminate weapon in the game. I know that's strong, okay, but hear me out. You know, voteless, it can handle voteless. It can two-shot drones. It can one-shot overseers if you hit him in the head. Okay, so it requires some amount of skill, and you can kill walkers with this weapon as long as you're hitting the joints. It covers all the enemies, every single one of them. So it's a very good gun. So definitely use it. Has great ammo economy. The only downside to it is that it does have like a slow reload, but as long as you're not firing like that last shot, you know, you have a decent reload speed. I do think they should probably add a speed reloader to this as part, like maybe an attachment if they add the attachment system to it. But in its current state, I love this weapon. If you really hate the reload speed, you can also use the Siege Ready perk, which ups your reload speed. But it's a phenomenal weapon. You should definitely use it at level 10 difficulty against the Illuminate. The Carbine, or like the Liberator Carbine, it's not great. Like it's good at mowing down voteless, right? But against overseers, even though it's got its damage buff, like this thing is just a faster firing Liberator, and that's what it's known for, with like not so good recoil, and that's it. I'd rather just use the regular Liberator, to be perfectly honest with you. I see that this thing doesn't have an identity in the game other than just being a faster firing Liberator with crazy recoil, and that's it. This thing needs an underbarrel, grenade launcher, shotgun. Like, this thing would benefit from an attachment system. If, I'm putting it in C tier, the only buff that this gun would need is, it needs an attachment system, right? The attachment system would buff this gun because you can actually do some crazy shit with it. But for the time being, it's going to be a C tier weapon for me. The Concussive Liberator, I'm not going to lie, it felt kind of terrible. I think this is better on bots and better on bugs than it is on Illuminate. Like, yeah, sure, you can crowd control a mob of voteless, but voteless are barely an enemy in this game. Like I said before, all these weapons can handle voteless like no problem, right? But as far as against overseers, though, it's not particularly great in my opinion. I don't think this gun really needs any more buffs than it already has, but because of the armor that the Illuminate are wearing, the concussive rounds just do weird shit to the overseers. So I'm kind of wanting to put this into a C tier. There are some use cases where it is okay. Like I said, against drones and like a mob of voteless, but that's not enough for me to say, yeah, I would suggest this taking this at level 10 difficulty. So I'm going to put it into the C tier category. Lib Penetrator is not that bad, actually. Does decent damage. Medium armor pen for 45 rounds, has great ammo economy. Just overall, just a solid weapon overall. So I'm putting it into the A tier. The only thing is that I kind of wish that I did a little bit more damage than what it's currently doing, but for the most part, I think it's a fine weapon. I think it's solid, but that's the only downside is I wish it did more damage. In my opinion, I just rather just use the Adjuticator rather than the Liberator Penetrator. But there's some people out there who are Liberator Penetrator just fanatics and love this weapon. So this is also a gun that would benefit from an attachment system as well. So I'm going to put this into the A tier. Liberator, just standard, just average. It is fine. It handles, voteless, it handles drones, it handles overseers, okay-ish, right? Light armor pen, it's just a standard weapon, right? This weapon, again, I don't think this gun needs any more buffs. I just think it needs just an attachment system. Once the attachment system comes to the game, 3 or 4 months, year down the road, however long, Arrow has been saying that they've been working on attachment system for a long time now, right? Until they do that, this gun will just be meh, just kind of just average overall. Plasma rifle, There is one particular niche this thing has, which is it handles walkers okay, right? But you have to be close. For that reason, though, I'm going to put it into D tier. I understand that the niche of it, handling walkers, oh my god, this is great. It can handle these guns. Like, some of these guns up here can handle walker, right? Again, this thing sucks at being a sniper. It has the same damage drop-off as Cookout, which is a shotgun. The 3-round burst does not feel good at all. It needs to do way more damage than what it's currently doing. It is a sniper rifle, and the DMRs, right? I'd rather take a Diligence. I'd rather take a counter sniper. I'd rather take a lever action. The DMRs in Helldivers 2 are more akin to sniper rifles than the actual sniper rifle in Helldivers 2. Okay, that's saying a lot. This gun sucks. It needs a complete rework. It needs damage buffs upon damage buffs. I would even say give this fucking thing armor pen 4. Okay, like it needs help. It needs some very, very much needed help and love to this gun. So I'm gonna put it into the D tier. Plasma Punisher. I think this is solid. I think it's really good. It's kind of like low S for me. I just wish the projectile would explode on impact rather than explode on proximity. For this reason, for the proximity detonation, it does really well against flying overseers, which is great. It does really good against voteless for crowd control. That's not really saying much, but you know, it does good. It does do good mob control. Does really well against overseers, like I said, against drones. It's just a solid mob out weapon. So I'm going to put it into the S tier category. Pummeler's broken. They said that they buffed it. It's bugged. Don't use it. It's trash. Until they fix the bug to it, you know, right now it takes around like 5 or 6 shots for something to get stunned, and the stun only lasts for maybe half a second or even a second. It's just not worth it. If you want something that stuns enemies, just bring the Halt. The Halt literally does what the Pummeler does, but better, and it's a shotgun. And it's actually a pretty accurate shotgun too, in my opinion. But until they do something to the Pummeler, it's just going to kind of remain just kind of like an ass weapon until they do some changes to it. The Punisher, solid A. You know, it's okay. You know, it staggers, which is great. It does a lot of damage. Great at overseers, great at handling voteless. You know, legging voteless. I like to leg voteless with shotguns, by the way, because I feel like that's better crowd control than just trying to ammo dump them. But it's just a solid weapon overall. Purifier, it is S tier. It's probably the best gun in the game right now, because you can use it as a kind of like a DMR. You can kind of use it as an assault rifle. You can single target with it with the charge up. It just does very, very good. It is definitely probably the best gun in the entire game right now. I don't think it needs a nerf, but there's a good reason why people are still using this gun a lot. It's great against the automatons, terminids, and Illuminate. Just phenomenal weapon. So use it definitely if you're wanting to sweat in level 10 difficulties. Reprimand. It's kind of like a probably solid A. They buffed it to where the bullets don't deviate as much, and that helped it out a lot. Okay, I think that it needs one more buff to bullet deviation. You know, decrease the bullet deviation, and it would be in a way better state. It probably would be high A, even an S, because it just does a lot of damage. Medium armor pen. It can handle voteless. It can handle overseers. I just think that it just needs a little bit more. As far as the bullet deviation, because I can tell that it's kind of still there, but it did get that kind of help that it needed, because before it was bullets were flying everywhere. Even then, I thought this gun was still an A tier weapon back in the day, before it got the buff, but that's just me. But you know, they just need to keep on decreasing the bullet deviation. I think it'd be a solid either high A or even S tier pick. Scorcher. There's some Scorcher drawers out there. I love this gun, to be perfectly honest. I like this gun better than the Purifier, personally. Even though the Purifier, I think, is objectively better, I like using the Scorcher more. It's just fun to use. It's just like a kind of like a sci-fi assault rifle. That's what I like about it. It does have some crowd control capabilities, because the projectile, whenever it hits something, it can hit like 2 or 3 voteless at a time, which is good, and it handles voteless very good. You know, it's just a solid, just rifle, just a solid plasma rifle. So has okay ammo economy. The only thing I will say is that maybe give it more ammo, but for the most part, it does very, very good in levels and difficulties. The Scythe, it's okay. You know, I probably low A for the most part. Again, as long as you're hitting the Overseer, you'll be fine, right? But if an Overseer hits you, your laser is going way off. It does okay against voteless. You know, or actually, I mean, like, everything in this game can handle voteless. You know, even the most shit weapon can handle voteless. But it's fine. It does okay. Like I said, it's kind of like a low A for me, maybe even B. But I'm gonna kind of give it some sort of credibility, because like it does burn, right? It does do good damage once you start hitting, you know, actually start, you know, shooting and having consistent laser beams, right? But I'm gonna keep it into like a kind of like a low A. The Sickle, I think it's good. You know, like great for mobbing, voteless, drones, unlimited ammo, basically, as long as you watch how many shots you've been taking. Has probably the best ammo economy out of any primary in the game right now. The only thing that's holding it back is that it's light armor penetrating, and it handles voteless okay. But for the most part, I think it's a fine weapon overall. Slugger, okay. I really like this weapon. It can one-shot headshot Overseers. It can stagger. It does okay against voteless as far as mobbing goes. Great ammo economy. They removed the bullet deviation, which was what was holding this gun back in, and give it a damage buff. I'm not going to lie. I kind of think it's an S tier weapon. It feels really good to use against the voteless. Excuse me, against the Illuminate. It does very, very well against the Illuminate. I'm pretty sure it can also, again, but you have to be kind of up close. Again, I'd rather use like the lever action for this, but because the lever action and the Slugger are kind of similar. The Slugger can take down walkers. It can, but you kind of have to be kind of close to them, right, in order for you to like land your shots consistently. It can handle the horns as well on the walkers. I'll put this into a low S tier, okay? But I'm kind of bouncing in between A and S, but I do think this weapon is back on track. It feels really good to use. It could maybe use one or two more buffs, but in its current state, it feels really good right now. So I'll put it into the S tier category. Spray and pray. It does okay. I like against voteless, just fine. You know, mobbing down voteless. Just aim for their legs and just hold down the trigger, and you'll wipe out an entire mob. Against Overseers, does fine, does okay. You know, otherwise it's kind of just a mid-tier weapon. You know, kind of this mid weapon for me. I'm gonna put the Killzone weapons kind of like in the, you know, because whatever. They're okay. They just need more ammo. That's all, right? Like the Stag needs maybe 30, 40 more ammo, and I think the rifle needs 30, 40 ammo too, right? Because these things have drum mags, right? They need way more ammo than what they currently have right now. Like, we're talking about a difference of like 5 or 10 bullets. Just put more ammo to them, and then they'd be in a good spot. Like, if these things if these two Killzone weapons had more ammo to them, I put them in A tier automatically. A tier all day, every day, right? Because they have identity at that point, right? Right now, I just feel like this is the better, like the Stag is the better knight. And I think, or like the Killzone machine gun. I don't know like what its name is exactly, but the Killzone machine gun is the better knight, and the Killzone assault rifle is the better Liberator. Just because it has like 5 or 10 more extra bullets, and that's it. You know, they need to have way more ammo to them. Also, these weapons would benefit from an attachment system as well, but you know, for the most part, these guns feel very average. The Knight, just average. It's just a simple machine gun. That's it. The Tenderizer, probably put in high A. It does 105 damage now, which is great. The only thing that's holding it back is light armor penetration, and ammo economy. And as far as the mag size, it's okay. But for the most part, I do think this is the more versatile ARs in the game right now. I'd still use the Adjuticator over the Tenderizer, but it does fine. And the Torture, I do think it's like high A. It is really good against Voteless, really good against drones, really good against Overseers. The problem with it, though, is that a flying Overseer can mess you up with this weapon. I would not walk up to a walker with this at all. At all. Do not do it, because a walker will just one-shot you with its kind of like arc lightning bolt thing that it shoots out. It does not feel good against walkers, but against all the other mobs in the game, it feels fantastic. So you should definitely use it if you want to kind of build into more like fire build or something like that. So this is my tier list. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. I would love to hear about what you guys think about these primaries. Tell me where I'm right. Tell me where I'm wrong. And also, what do you think is the best weapon against the Illuminates, or what do you think is the worst weapons against the Illuminate? Let me know down in the comment section. I would greatly appreciate it. As always, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.